On September 25, 1968, 8-year-old Tali Shapiro was walking to school when a car pulled up alongside her, and the driver asked if she needed a ride. Shapiro initially refused, but when he claimed to know her parents, she got into his car. The driver then took her to his apartment, where he told Shapiro he wanted to show her a picture. Meanwhile, a person named Donald Haynes, who had been observing from a distance, found it suspicious. He immediately followed the car and called the police. He informed the police that a beige-colored car without license plates was carrying an 8-year-old child, and he also sent them the location of the apartment. When the police arrived, a 25-year-old young man came out of the house. Afterward, when the police entered the house, they were shocked. Shapiro was found alive in a pool of her own blood, having been raped and beaten with a steel bar. She was gagging and trying to breathe, clinging to life. Tali was rushed to the hospital. When the police started searching the residence, they found a lot of photographic equipment, and they were amazed at the number of photographs he had, many of which were of young girls, some very young. They also found several IDs, including a picture ID of Rodney Alcala, who was a student at the University of California. However, the suspect, 25-year-old Rodney Alcala, had slipped through the officer's fingers. To understand how he turned into a serial killer, let's look at his early life. Rodney James Alcala was born on August 23, 1943, in San Antonio, Texas. In 1951, Rodney's father moved the family to Mexico, then abandoned them 3 years later. In 1954, when Alcala was 11, his mother moved him and his 2 sisters to suburban Los Angeles. Alcala was a bright student, popular among his fellows, and attended private schools before graduating from Cantwell Sacred Heart of Mary High School. He was active in sports and even helped plan the yearbook. At 17, Alcala joined the U.S. Army with hopes of becoming a paratrooper, but was instead assigned to work as a clerk. His commanding officer later described him as manipulative, vindictive, and insubordinate, noting that he had been disciplined multiple times for assaulting young women. In 1964, after experiencing a nervous breakdown, during which he went absent without leave and hitchhiked from North Carolina to California, Alcala was diagnosed with antisocial personality disorder and found to have an IQ of 135. He was discharged from the Army on medical grounds. After leaving the Army in 1964, Alcala graduated from the University of California and even studied film under Roman Polanski at New York University. But as we turn the page in Rodney Alcala's life, the story takes a darker turn. In 1969, the FBI put Rodney Alcala on its most wanted list, but finding Alcala was going to be no simple matter. After raping and almost killing Tali Shapiro, Alcala fled California and enrolled at New York University, using the alias John Berger. 3 years later, his dark side resurfaced. On June 12, 1971, Cornelia Crilly, a 23-year-old flight attendant, was found raped and murdered in her Manhattan apartment. She had recently moved into a new apartment, where she likely met Alcala. He offered to help her move furniture, but instead attacked her, raping and strangling her with her own stockings. In 1971, after committing the murder, Alcala worked as a counselor at a New Hampshire arts camp under the alias John Berger. That same year, he was added to the FBI's 10 most wanted fugitives list. 2 campers recognized his photo on the list and reported him, leading to his arrest in August 1971 and extradition to California. However, since Tali Shapiro's family had moved to Mexico and refused to let her testify, prosecutors dropped the rape and attempted murder charges. Instead, Alcala was convicted of child molestation, sentenced to 3 years, and paroled in 1974 after serving 34 months. Less than 3 years later, Rodney Alcala was a free man again. After being paroled in 1974, Alcala was rearrested within 2 months for assaulting 13-year-old Julie J. He was convicted, served 2 years, and was released in 1977 as a registered sex offender. However, this did not stop him from continuing his crimes. In 1977, after being released from prison, Alcala moved to New York. A week later, he killed 23-year-old Ellen Jane Hover, daughter of nightclub owner Herman Hover and goddaughter of Dean Martin and Sammy Davis Jr. She was last seen on July 15, 1977, meeting with John Berger, Alcala's alias. Her remains were discovered near the Hudson River in 1978. That same year, Alcala was hired by the Los Angeles Times as a typesetter and took photos at weddings, all while being a registered sex offender. During his killing spree, Alcala appeared as a contestant on the dating game, Introduced as a successful photographer, he won the competition, but bachelorette Cheryl Bradshaw refused to go out with him, calling him creepy. Between 1975 and 1979, Rodney Alcala committed a series of brutal murders, primarily targeting young women and children. The murder of Robin Christine Samsoe on June 20th, 1979, was the crime that finally led to Alcala's arrest. A 12-year-old girl from Huntington Beach disappeared while riding her bike. Her body was found 12 days later, beaten and stabbed. Samsoe's friends told police that a stranger had approached them on the beach, asking to take their pictures. Detectives circulated a sketch of the photographer, and Alcala's parole officer recognized him. This sketch, based on witness descriptions, led to his arrest. Rodney Alcala was arrested on July 24, 1979, and held without bail. He was tried for the murder of Robin Samsoe, a 12-year-old girl. Alcala was found guilty in May 1980 and sentenced to death in June 1980. However, the California Supreme Court overturned the verdict in 1984 because jurors had been improperly informed of his prior sex crimes. In May 1986, after a second trial, he was again convicted and sentenced to death. In 1992, the California Supreme Court upheld the verdict, but Alcala filed a federal habeas corpus petition. In 2001, a U.S. District Court judge overturned his conviction, citing the improper exclusion of a witness who could have supported Alcala's claim that a park ranger was hypnotized by police investigators. While preparing for a third trial in 2003, investigators discovered that Alcala's DNA matched evidence from the rape murders of 2 women in Los Angeles. Additional DNA matches in 2004 led to his indictment for the murders of 4 more women: Jill Barcombe, Georgia Wickstead, Charlotte Lamb, and Jill Parenteau. All victims were found posed in carefully chosen positions, and earrings in Alcala's storage locker matched Charlotte Lamb's DNA. During his incarceration, Alcala wrote a book, You, the Jury, claiming innocence in the Samsoe case. He also filed lawsuits against the California penal system for a slip-and-fall incident and for refusing to provide him with a low-fat diet. In 2006, the California Supreme Court allowed prosecutors to join the Robin Samsoe case with the 4 new charges. Alcala acted as his own attorney during the third trial in 2010, where he made a bizarre attempt to argue his innocence. He claimed he was at Knott's Berry Farm applying for a photography job when Samsoe was kidnapped. He also showed jurors his 1978 appearance on The Dating Game, attempting to convince them that the earrings found in his locker were his, not Samsoe's. Alcala didn't attempt to dispute the charges for the 4 additional murders, claiming he could not remember killing any of the women. During his closing argument, he played Arlo Guthrie's Alice's Restaurant, which includes lyrics about wanting to kill. The jury convicted him on all 5 counts of first-degree murder. In March 2010, Alcala was sentenced to death for the 3rd time. In January 2011, a Manhattan grand jury indicted him for the 1971 and 1977 murders of Ellen Hover and Cornelia Crilly. He was extradited to New York in June 2012 and pleaded guilty in December 2012 to return to California for appeals. On January 7, 2013, he was sentenced to 25 years to life in New York, where the death penalty had been abolished in 2007. But the mystery of Alcala's crimes still lingers. In 2010, police released 120 of Alcala's photos, seeking to identify potential victims. About 21 women came forward, and 6 families suspected missing loved ones. Around 900 photos were too explicit to share. In 2013, 1 image was linked to a missing person case. Most subjects remain unidentified, and police fear some may be cold case victims. Before ending this video, let me tell you about 2 girls. Tali Shapiro and Morgan Rowan are both alive today in 2025. If you found this video informative, make sure to like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more content like this. Turn on the notification bell so you never miss an update. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below.